Don't talk to me.
We've just done the whole card.
Oh, you don't need any. We're done. Shortest video ever.
Okay, and now on to the Six of Swords. But really, I think this is such a great card, the Five of Swords. I get loads out of this card. I never know what way I'm going to go with this card. You just got to keep completely open-minded about it, haven't you?
You really, really do, because he's so often taught as the bully card.
Yes.
And I can see that. I can see that. It's like, I
I
got all
can.
your swords. And the other
Yeah.
two are running away crying. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, I got some ice cream and you can't have none.
I mean, if you're going to go with the bully thing, this is not passive aggressive. This is obvious aggressive. You know, if you're going to go with the bully version of it. And sometimes I just feel that is the right thing to say. Sometimes I definitely see him as the kind of like the main thing about the whole card.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes you can see it in the bully version, because there are two versions to this card, at least two.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes one of those others will catch your eye and you'll
Yeah.
know that the person is being bullied or being taken advantage of,
Yeah.
or just really generally unhappy with somebody who
Yeah.
bosses them around.
Yes. Or maybe they're just saying we've had enough. We've had enough. No, we're not going to do what you want us to do anymore. Forget it.
Oh, that could totally be a
And he's
strike.
still trying to persuade them.
Yeah, that
But
could.
it's like no, but they're kind of standing their ground. It's like no, this is a waste of time. We're not doing it anymore. If you want to carry on, you can carry on, but we're not backing you up here. It could be that.
Oh yeah, and when you said that, it never occurred to me, because I live in the South, which you know, but we do
Yes.
not have unions here. Um, we do
Ah.
not have unions, and it sucks. I would love a union. I'll probably be getting killed by half my neighbors tonight when this airs. But we do not have unions in the South, so I don't see this as a strike in my
Right.
readings, obviously, but that could totally be a strike situation.
Oh yeah, they have there's a name for it when like a go slow, like you know when we're not working, we're putting our tools down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless our conditions are met, we are unhappy.
Yeah.
So, not something I will see in a reading here very often, but
You know what that even could be? That could even be if he was like the government or whatever, and they were people saying, no, we're not having the vaccine.
oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at that as needles or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
because obviously the government does want everyone to have the vaccine, and everyone's being persuaded that it's a good idea to have it. But there are those, you know, that are saying, I'm not having
No,
it. No.
not doing it. That could be the two swords on the ground, those that are
Yeah.
just, threw in and said, we're not doing this. Now, on a complete 180 from what everything we've just said, there are times where I see them as being oppressed, and him being their friend and saying, oh man, guys, turn around, look at what I found, we can fight back now. You're kind
Yes.
of like, the
Yeah.
hero.
Absolutely. Have you ever seen that film? It's an old film now, called Highlander.
Yes, there can only be one.
Yeah, but this card does remind me of Highlander sometimes. especially with his red hair, and it's a very bleak sort of setting.
Yes.
So sometimes I think of Highlander, because I think in Scotland they do like sword dancing, and the men,
Seriously?
oh yeah, they do sword dancing, and they kind of like, they have the swords on the floor, and they dance, and they make sure their feet don't touch the swords, so they don't get their feet cut. It's a traditional Scottish dance, but also in Scotland, like the men wear kilts, they wear skirts. I know there's a lot of that in the tarot, but there is something very Scottish about this card.
Yeah, especially
I mean,
do we have any other red-haired characters?
well, yeah, there's, what's his name, the King of Swords, King of Wands, isn't there?
Oh yeah, is he red-haired?
I think so.
I'm pulling out my board
Okay.
with all my cards because now I gotta look.
But it does feel, if I was doing a travel, like where should I go on holiday, and this came up, I'd probably say, oh, Scotland,
Yeah. Yeah. Let me find him. The king. Yes, yes, he does have red hair. The King of Wands. He sure does.
Now, there's something else about this card as well. I think I was originally told this card meant you might have won the battle, but you still haven't won the war, or something. That version of it. And I think I started to look at this card as that there is more to this than what you see in this picture. It's kind of like, what's happening just outside where the camera has stopped, if that makes sense. Like, and I just felt this card is saying to me, set up some clear boundaries.
Ah, okay, now I need to see the one that shows the 180 degree.
I know. This is going to this Tarot of the New Vision is going to trigger a whole load of possibilities.
All right,
It's just as ambiguous as the other way around, and we haven't even talked about reversed.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was hard to narrow down, and then I made you add a new card. Oh.
Look at it. I mean, it looks as though the tragedy's already happened, right? Now, whether he has caused that tragedy, and those two guys that we met in the kind of the original Rider-Waite are victims of that tragedy, or whether they've come to try and save things, and he's going, come on, let's go in there, guys. I know it's billowing with smoke and that, but there might be bodies in there. So whether he's actually a hero or whether he's the reason for that, who knows?
And he doesn't have that. A lot of people say that the original Rider-Waite version has that cocky, smarmy look on his face. This card doesn't have that. He looks pretty grim, but so would you if that was either your village that you came across that was destroyed, or you were the one doing the destroying even.
I've got to be honest, I did not expect that to be what was there if you turned it by 180 degrees. That took me quite by surprise, but yet that is perfectly feasible, that is what this is all about. And I've always felt with that card, we're only seeing a little bit of the story. We don't really, we are open to what is going on in the peripheral vision here.
Wow.
I know.
I like this one because this one doesn't, how the Four of Swords really did limit our interpretation of the card to sorrow, loss. This one leaves that ambiguity. I love that.
I know.
I really like this deck.
It's amazing, but I've always felt the Five of Swords is a really fascinating card and could be pulled in so many different directions. When a card is this flexible, if you like, those are the cards I wonder whether you need reversals or not. when they have all of the sides to them are really kind of like available to you, even in the upright. What more does a reversal offer?
Well, when we can go with the opposition of, which this one upright has that opposition built in. You know, it could go one way or another upright. So the opposite part would not really apply with the reversal of this one, but it would apply if it were too much of, and it would apply if it were a lessening of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because the opposition is already there for the taking in the upright.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of even worse than you're saying, or it's really not as bad as it looks. I
Right.
like that actually, because I do remember there was an advert where you saw a guy running out of a shop. I think I might have mentioned this before, and he's running out of a shop, and he's sort of, and it really like lets you think he's stolen something from the shop, but in actual fact, he's chasing someone down the road who left something in the shop.
Yeah.
So if you just caught the bit that you see, you could be completely getting the wrong story. So maybe this card coming up in reverse, whatever version of it, is saying this is not the obvious, right? You know that this story, yeah, don't go with what you think this story is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's either a lot worse than you think it is, or it's really not as bad. You've misunderstood this story. Maybe that's what the reversals are. That's possible.
Yeah, a lot of new tarot readers get trapped in that reversals mean the opposite of.
Yes.
And it's the same trap as seeing it upside right with a keyword. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I think it's a fascinating card, the Five of Swords, and I do think it is a challenging card. Don't get me wrong. I think it's an immediately challenging, and it's not a card that I would sort of necessarily just jump. You know, like if you sometimes get an ace and you'll just straight away go yes or whatever. I think this card needs a bit of consideration. Take a breath before you actually, you know, come to a conclusion, especially if you feel a kind of bully come straight out of your mouth. You know, it's like, whoa, maybe, but don't just kind of allow for the possibility that there is more to it than that.
Yeah.
Or less to it than that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've brought one that really lends itself. I had a really hard time narrowing this down, but this really lends himself to the helpful part. The look on his face, he's handing us that sword. It could also be he's holding us at sword point too, but it's got a scavenger feel to it. Like he's gone through the battlefield and taken up all the dropped swords. Do you see there's a soldier over here with a pike through him?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a brutal card. This is also the Legacy of the Divine.
Yeah. The same one that had the purple bedspread.
Yes. Yes.
He is gorgeous.
Isn't he beautiful?
I can't even start looking at whether he's a goodie or a baddie or whatever. I can just all I'm doing is looking at him thinking, oh.
And just the way his hand is cradling the sword, he doesn't have that grip like he's going to kill us. He's holding that sword out to us, giving us a choice. You know, you want to live?
He's quite Jon Snow, isn't he? By the time Jon Snow's kind of like become heroic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautifully so. And what an amazing sword that is too.
It's fabulous.
I love all the details in this deck, like those soldiers dead.
Yes.
Instead of walking away from us sad, they are dead. But I think he's here to help us.
I don't think he's killed those soldiers.
Oh no.
No, for 1 second. I think they're his men.
I have to agree with you. And the look on his face isn't, come with me or you die. It's a very soft look, like, yeah, I know this hurts, but I'm here to help. just a very gentle look
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah. So
Ah,
the card does show that there's victims. I mean, there's no
mhm.
question about that, that there are, in that upright position, there are actual victims.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we know there's been a huge battle. And in this case, what you said earlier about, you may have won the battle, but you still got the war to go through.
Yeah.
Oh, it shows really hard in this
Yeah.
one. And the only way to win the war is to join forces with this man.
What about him in reverse?
Oh, him in reverse. I would not be able to help at first blush to see him as a bully in reverse because he
Right.
lends himself so much to that other side. So
Yeah.
this one, yeah. If he had just had a little bit of a different look on his face or a grip on that sword, he'd go the opposite way in the upright for me. But because he's so casual, because he's so gentle, he's cradling that sword. He's not going to kill us with it. So, food for
Fascinating.
thought.
Yeah.
And we both we just couldn't narrow down our five of swords. We both brought it. Well, I made you bring your second one, didn't I?
You made me bring my tarot of the new vision. Yes.
Right. You had originally submitted this one.
Yes, but I
Ah.
originally submitted this one. I mean, if you're in any doubt about whether it's a bully card and you're reading from this deck, I don't think you have to hesitate for a moment. I mean, she's an out and out bully. End of.
Yes. Yes.
Horrible woman. I've got to
Wow.
tell you something that's so funny. But I go to my local supermarket to collect my shopping. Like, I order and pay for it online, and then you just go at a certain time and they load it into the car. And today I went and it was different. It was different. It was a lot busier. They usually just see one car at a time, but today they were having like 4 cars and they were all extra staff. And there was this supervisor woman kind of like doing it all. And it was like, okay, so I kind of like started loading up my car, and the guy who has been working there for months, like, and who I see every Monday, he came over and he went, oh, hi, how are you? I went, oh, fine, thanks. And I went, how are things? And the supervisor woman was like behind him, and he went, that's all he did. That's all he did, right? No more needed to be said. You could just tell that they all hated her, right? And it was like, I took one look at this card and I thought, that's the new person in charge of the kind of picking up your shopping. and these two are the little guys that have been kind of working there for months, like happily doing a very efficient sort of job. And like suddenly, right, it's all changed, right? It has all changed in the blink of an eye.
Those poor guys.
I know. And I'm just absolutely seeing that as this happened to me today. Well, it didn't happen to me. I witnessed it today.
You got to see it in action. I love the way she's got those two long swords like curled into her chest. Like,
Oh my God, yeah.
mine.
They've got no hope of kind of like getting their own way or telling her, oh, this is how we usually do it. Like, they've got no chance against her whatsoever.
You see the little paintbrush on the ground. She's whack under the sword.
Oh my God, look at their faces, though. Their little faces. It's
Oh, and this one, the 6 of spades, got to look like the little guy you asked how things were. Look.
if you want to go a little bit further with this card, you could say that the one who looks devastated is like the 3 of swords. His heart is broken. Maybe he's worked there. Maybe he's worked there for sort of 70 years in this garden, and this woman has come and told him she hates like how he works or whatever. And this other one, the 6, it's like, well, that's it, I'm off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he does look like he's ready to walk. Look at the knobby knees on the 3 and his feet.
I know he's
Just
terrified.
pointed. Oh,
I
this
mean,
card is amazing.
I just had to kind of like, I had to sort of include it. I mean, it's not got the ambiguity for a second that the Rider-Waite-Smith version has, but it speaks volumes.
It does. It does. And if you're reading with that deck, there's really just no way to get around it.
Oh.
Now, you could not interpose the ambiguity onto this one. Oh,
And
my God.
just in case anyone wondered what it was, it's what is it? Tarot Wonderland.
Or Wonderland Tarot.
Wonderland Tarot. But it's by Barbara Moore. It's definitely got Wonderland in the title. The box is downstairs, but it's the Barbara Moore Wonderland version of the tarot. Yeah,
I really like that version. I think Alice in Wonderland really does lend itself to the tarot really well. Yeah.
I think so. I think it does.
It's like surprisingly well.
Yeah.
All right. And my last card, you know I love that Dreams of Gaia by Raven Phelan.
Go on. Oh.
5 of Swords.
Oh, this is different.
I love this card. Totally different interpretation.
Whoa.
But it is so amazing. See how she's got the mask in her hand, smiling and confident. Yes. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are tears, like tears just rolling down her face.
Wow.
What's behind the mask?
That is such a different take on it, but that's amazing.
Yes. And I love reading with this deck. Not very Rider-Waite based at all, which I like to introduce some of the non-Rider-Waite based versions because they do have such a different flavor. I don't even know if it's 78 cards, but it has a different format than the Rider-Waite. It doesn't have the 22 majors. It's got 22 cards, but they're not the regular archetypes. It's totally different. Oh. I didn't know if I could read with it, but the first read I did with it was like, whoa, okay, I like this deck.
And do the minors still follow the same 4 elements?
They do follow the same 4 elements. And some of them do have that feel when you look at them like, oh yeah, this is Rider-Waite base. But in cases like this, where it's got that mask and then the actual person or the angel underneath, you know, you definitely want to know your cards. But because if I tried to superimpose a Rider-Waite interpretation onto this image, I would be doing this image such a disfavor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh
my God, that's gorgeous.
It's stunning. It's stunning, and just how it affects me emotionally is incredibly powerful.
It reminds me of something. My friend painted that.
That is, and that's on your wall?
Yes.
Why isn't
I bought a limited edition print of her. She's amazing, but it was just because of the mask. Seeing the mask in your card, it just reminded me that I have that on my wall.